Right, this is the regular meeting of the Gilliam County Court. We're in Arlington today. It's June 17th. The meeting's called to order. A quorum has been established. All county court members are present, and we will now have the flag salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome. Additions and revisions to the agenda.
So Pat and I have one, Andy Lindsay, Anderson Perry would like to give an update on the Cedar Springs Road project. He's kind of in and out, but he requested if I could just text him, give him about 10 minutes when we can work him in.
Okay, great.
Join us soon.
Sure, we could just do that under public comment, the regular public comment after the public hearing. All right. Okay, is there anything else? Okay. 3.0, we're holding a public hearing today to consider an application for zone amendment to allow cannabis retail as a conditional use in rural unincorporated community, RC zone. First, I will read to you the process for the public hearing and call the public hearing to order. The public hearing on amendment AZ-001-26 is called to order. The request is to amend the Gilliam County Zoning and Land Development Ordinance, GCZLDO, to allow cannabis retail as a use allowed conditionally in the rural unincorporated community, RC zone, amending the GCZLDO Article 4, Section 4.030 and Article 1, Section 1.030 to incorporate and amend definitions for cannabinoids and marijuana business, and Article 8, Section 8.270, marijuana businesses to authorize marijuana retailing as a permitted use in the rural unincorporated community, RC zone, and changed prohibited to permitted for wholesaling in the footnotes of Table 1. The hearing will be conducted as follows. First, the staff report, followed by any additional correspondence that has been received. 2, questions of staff from the county court. 3, public testimony in the following order. Testimony in favor of the amendment, then testimony opposed to the amendment, then neutral testimony, if any. Then questions of staff, if any, by the county court. Discussion by the county court would be the last step. A decision may be made by the county court at the close of the hearing, or the matter may be continued to a time and date in the future. If the matter is reset to a time and date certain in the future, this will be the only notice of that date you receive. If you wish to speak, please sign the sign-in sheet. I will call on people to address the court. Any questions should be addressed through me. Because the hearing is being recorded, please state both your name and city for the record when you come to the table to speak. Please keep testimony concise and to the point. Testimony will be limited to 3 minutes per person. Please note, failure to raise an issue with sufficient specificity to afford the county court and the other parties an opportunity to respond to the issue prohibits an appeal to the Land Use Board of Appeals based on that issue. At this time, I ask the members of the county court to disclose any conflict of interest. Please indicate the nature of the conflict and whether you intend to participate or to abstain from the hearing.
I don't have any comments.
I will declare a potential conflict because I reside in the zone that we are discussing, unincorporated community, RC zone, but I intend to participate. Planner Stephanie Case will now present the staff report.
Thank you and good morning. As a matter of housekeeping, if there's anybody that would like a copy of the final decision, please sign in on the sign-in sheet and indicate that you'd like that. And so I will go ahead and get started here. All of you were provided a copy of the staff report that was provided to the Planning Commission. And in that staff report, it indicates the request. So to summarize the request, it is for the allowance of marijuana retailing allowed conditionally in the rural unincorporated community zone. His request was specifically in Mayville and allow the wholesaling as a permitted use. The desired outcome of the applicant would be to allow them to apply for a conditional use permit at their residence in Mayville. It is important to note that your decision today does not allow for that application specifically. It would only amend the code so the applicant could then apply for a conditional use permit at that request. Kind of going through the staff report and the findings that were presented at Planning Commission. I think of note here would be that the applicant was required to show how the proposed change conforms with the comprehensive plan. The applicant did not specifically identify the comprehensive plan, however, did indicate that the use would highly enhance the county of Gilliam with income, and that income produced can be used for the county for public safety in many areas as needed. Going through the specific criteria that are outlined for your approval today, the first one would be any changes proposed in the functional classification of a existing or planned transportation facility. This would not change the functional classification of the transportation facility. However, it is recommended by staff that evaluation of that and discussion about that happens, because the use, if allowed in the rural unincorporated community zone, could impact and increase levels of travel or access. However, that would be better evaluated at the time of development, each specific development. So I would recommend having some discussion as to whether or not that should be evaluated as part of the code or not. I think that is probably the most important piece, is talking about potential transportation impacts of retail marijuana in any of these zones. It would be the same for any retail use in any rural unincorporated zone, not just marijuana, but any of them could provide potential transportation impacts. That almost completely summarizes what is required to be evaluated as part of the code in addressing the comprehensive plan. I did outline various comprehensive plan criteria. Most of it is not applicable. The rural unincorporated community zone was created to enhance and complement recreation. So it is important to identify that the recreational elements that are important in Gilliam County, that's what this zone was created for. The proposed use, I don't know that the case could be made that it could complement it, but of course I don't know that the case could be made that it wouldn't complement it. So that was really kind of difficult to address in this. The other portions of the applicant's request for your consideration today were to allow wholesaling. Right now, the code does not allow wholesaling in any zone in the county, and they've made the request that wholesaling be allowed. As provided with your memo that I drafted last week, the Planning Commission held two public hearings. The first one was on April 28th, and the second one was on May 26, 2026. They considered this action and forward the proposal to you today with a recommendation to approve with modifications to the applicant's request. During that initial Planning Commission hearing on April 28th, The commission heard testimony from the public. We have received further testimony that we'll get into later on during the testimony portion of today's hearing. But the testimony that was received during the planning commission hearing included testimony in favor from the applicant and one other resident of Mayville specifically. And their comments predominantly supported the proposal because of economic benefits and enhancements. One member of the public did address the commission with neutral oral testimony, said that he wasn't in favor nor opposed and was just there to kind of listen. And then one member of the public, or 3 members of the public spoke in opposition to the request, predominantly addressing impacts from increased traffic and cited public safety concerns. There was additional written testimony that was received that was included with your original packet, including written comments that were received after the hearing. During that first hearing, the Planning Commission did unanimously decide to recommend retaining the existing language for marijuana and cannabis terminology. My apologies, I forgot to mention that they requested that all reference to marijuana in the code be changed to cannabis. The Planning Commission recommended that the existing language in our code be retained, so that way it was consistent with what federal and state terminology is used for marijuana retailing. They also recommended leaving the definitions unchanged in the Gilliam County Zoning and Land Development Ordinance. The Planning Commission did further deliberate and they continued that matter to May 26th for their recommendation. And their recommendation coming before you today is simply that the conditional use of marijuana retailing be allowed in the rural unincorporated community zone specific to Mayville only and not applicable to the other communities within that zone, including Olex and Michaelo. That recommendation was supported by 3 commissioners in favor with 1 commissioner in opposition, and we did have 1 commissioner absent that evening. There were no additional changes that were recommended from them. The county court may choose to approve as recommended by the Planning Commission, or you may choose to further amend it. You may choose to approve what the applicant had requested with all of the changes, or you could deny the request entirely. That would be at the discretion of the court. The intent today would be to have an outcome of a decision that we could bring forward with either an ordinance, if there was an approval that would change the code, or an order of denial that we would bring in front of you at a separate meeting. If you choose to continue today's meeting, it is important that you state whether or not you would leave the record open or if you close the record. And then, as you all know, the city of Boardman is here to support you through the rest of June. So if it were to be continued, there could be a transition period that happens between me and the new planning director. So if it were continued, or if we were doing a reading of the ordinance, I would recommend going to the middle of July, just so that way July 1 might be a little difficult for her to get her feet on the ground and come in on her first official day as planning director. So I think that would conclude my staff report. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have about either the application or process that came up to this point.
Do you have any questions of her?
I don't this time.
No, I read through it. It's pretty thorough. So.
Okay, so any additional correspondence other than what we know of? I have this letter, which I am going to read, although it's just about the noticing. And then we have the other letter, but I'll read those, whether or not they're in favor or opposed at that time, after the oral testimony. Is that
Yes, correct.
process?
Yep.
Okay.
So does that include the 3 letters they referenced with the meeting that?
Yeah, so in your packet, you received 1 letter. Then 1 came in yesterday, which we put online and sent to you, and then 1 was brought in today.
Okay.
And then actually,
I'm just saying that it cited in here that they had 3. But was that just testimony?
Correct. We had 3 folks that spoke with oral testimony, and then we received this additional letter. Yeah, the 3 in opposition and then the letter.
okay. We'll go into testimony at this time. I will now call on those who wish to testify in favor of the proposed amendment. We have two people who signed up for in-person oral testimony. Tony Carpenter. Okay, Rick Bissonette. Okay, come on up, state your name and city for the record.
Rick Bissonnet.
Sorry for mispronouncing your name.
Thank you. It's hard to pronounce that name. I had no idea the can of worms I opened up when I tried to put this in. I didn't know the code. All I was told that Gilliam County had voted it in 2015. So when I went to do it, there's some red flags instantly. So I went about it the way that it was supposed to be done. It's been almost 2 years. I did go through planning. I've done a lot of research on it. And I was also told I could put one in the city of Condon. But I didn't want to do that because the children and people around there is always going to be around it. We are out in the middle, basically the middle of nowhere. No children. I meet every criteria for the state, and I thought it would be a wonderful thing to be away from the towns, because a lot of people are concerned about if their kids are going to get up it or whatever. Well, there's no kids out there, and you can't even come into the place unless you're 21. And I am regular. I got to look at all ID. It goes back to the state. If there's somebody that's not supposed to buy, they'll send me a red flag on my computer right away, say you can't sell to them. And I'm just trying to, basically, I was trying to help out the community. I know of a lot of people that get it and want it for medical use. And that's what I'm trying to do, is to help the community and also enhance our county, because you get a percentage of all my sales. I got to give you, the state allows 3%. They switched that 2 years ago to 3%. But when I had my other one in Sumter, it was 8%. So I was willing to go 8% for the first year, 5% the next year, and then 3% from there on out to the next year after that. And it's a pretty lucrative business, where people realize it or not. And the county stands to get a lot of money off of this. And it can go towards public safety or whatever. And I went to all my neighbors out there before I even decided to do this and asked what they thought about it. I was not going to step on anybody's toes out there and just put it in. And every one of them were the ones that voted it in 2015. But then when they put it, saying that you can only put it in an industrial area, Gilliam County really doesn't have an industrial area that meets the criteria of the state because it's so small. And I had no idea that an unincorporated place, all I saw that they said they allowed marijuana to grow and process, but then no retail. I couldn't sell it. And that defeats the purpose of what I was trying to do. I guess I'm at the court's mercy now, because that's when I was there and we wanted to know what to do, and they suggested that we rezone it. And so I went about it to try and rezone it, and my property's not big enough to carry an industrial area. Like, I put a cement plant in it or whatever if I could, and I couldn't do that. So we switched it to just changing the texting. And at the time that I asked for the texting to be changed, I asked if we can exclude Michael and Oleg. They're 40 some miles away from us, and I didn't want them to be included in that unincorporated area with us, because then I didn't want to put that on them. And that was my whole purpose. And when it came back, our first meeting with the planning committee, they were just at a stall. They didn't know what to do. And it was suggested that they have another meeting to find out information. And that was done. It found out that yes, we could make exclude Oakland and Michaelo and make it Mayville only. And all it's going to do, it really is, it's going to be healthy for the customers that do have to travel. I know people saying that, well, you got to go that far anyway from doctor visits and stuff. They can pick it up then. But their main concern is the children are going to get a hold of it. Well, they can't. The only way the children will get a hold of it is if their parents allow that. And because they can't be there. They cannot even come on my property at that point. They can't, if they come in and they have their kids and they stay in the car, that's not on me. There's no, they cannot consume it on the property. There's no loitering on the property. I've got too high of a security and it's good all the way around. It really is. There's a lot of people that just can't travel and they want to get it. I know of several that have used it. They've gone through cancer and it has helped them get through that part of it, the pain side of it. And that's what I want to bring in is mainly the medical side of it. Yes, there will be some recreational, but I am concentrating highly on the medical side of it with the rubs and the CBD and the CBGs. And I even have the opportunity to bring it in for pets. And if people have pets and the doctor says, hey, you want to do something here, you need to go there and get it. I've had a lot of people ask, are you going to bring it in for pets? Are you going to bring it in for pets? It's unbelievable. I didn't think anything about that, but I think it's a great idea for in that area because of people love their pets and it's a good thing. And so I'll be having some of that. And I've done everything that they've asked. The building is sitting and waiting. I stopped work on it because they told me to stop work on it. So I got a deck to build. I've got a little bit to do before I can even open if it's passed through. So, and then the state has to get involved. They come over. I'm on their timeline. I can't do anything until they give me the okay to do it. They may come in and say that I can't. I have no idea. But because I do meet that criteria, I'm sure it's going to go through if we are allowed to be able to do it.
Okay, so I don't want to cut you off
Okay.
because this is your application, but we're over on time. So
Oh, that's fine. I'm done.
any additional points or summarization is up to you.
Okay. I know that I meet the transportation side of it. I had a guy come out and look, and it's not, the traffic is just going to be coming mainly from Condon and Fossil and probably Spray. And it's not any more than what's on there already. And I'm paved right up to where I'm at.
Okay. Is there anything else?
No, unless you have a question for me. No? Okay.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Is there any other individuals who would like to speak in favor who are present that didn't sign in? And is there anyone online? No one. Okay. We'll now call for those who wish to speak in opposition of the proposed amendment. Is there anyone present who would like to speak in opposition who didn't sign in? Anyone online? Okay, and we have 3 letters, 4 actually, we'll read 4 letters. Let's go ahead and read the letters. Okay, the first letter in opposition, this was posted online. I'm writing to formally express my opposition to the proposed cannabis dispensary in Mayville. I recognize that this issue has already been reviewed by the Gilliam County Planning Commission, of which I am a member. The recommendation moved forward on a 3-to-1 vote, and while I respect both the process and my fellow commissioners, it is important to me that my opposition also be included in the public record before the county court. The applicant has suggested that this location would serve individuals seeking cannabis for medical purposes. However, I find that reasoning difficult to support. Residents require specialized medical care already travel to larger regional hubs, at least an hour away for doctor appointments, treatment, and related services. It is reasonable to assume that any cannabis-related purchases could be handled during those same trips rather than creating additional access within our small rural county. To be clear, I respect the fact that cannabis use is legal and that others may view this issue differently. What individuals choose personally is not my concern. However, I do not believe expanding access through a dispensary in Mayville is necessary or beneficial for our county. Establishing a cannabis retail location there feels unnecessary and frankly inconsistent with the character many residents, I believe, value. Additionally, the argument that this proposal would provide meaningful economic or tax benefit to the county appears overstated. County property records reflect the applicant's property value at approximately $100,000, suggests the overall tax return generated by this operation would likely be minimal or unremarkable. To me, this is less about legality and more about community standards, priorities, and the type of development we choose to encourage in Gilliam County. Thank you for your consideration and for allowing my comments to be entered into the record. Aaron Heidemann. Okay, the second letter, opposition to proposed cannabis dispensary in Mayville. This was also posted online, but not until yesterday, I believe. I am writing to express my opposition to the proposed cannabis dispensary in Mayville. My position is not based on opposition to cannabis itself. Cannabis is legal in Oregon, and adults are free to make their own decisions regarding its use. The issue before the court is not whether cannabis should exist, but whether this particular proposal is in the best interest of Gilliam County. My primary concern is the applicant. When evaluating an application of this nature, I believe the court should carefully consider the applicant's history of financial responsibility and business practices. Public records show multiple liens filed against Rick Bissonnet, most recently in Wheeler County case number 24CV09474. A judgment was entered against Mr. Bissonnet for breach of contract, resulting in a monetary award of $6,373.19 to Ray Klein, Inc. These are not rumors or personal attacks. They are matters of public record that raise legitimate questions about the level of accountability, financial management, and trustworthiness expected of someone seeking to operate a highly regulated cash incentive business. Supporters of this proposal have suggested it will provide economic benefit to the county through tax revenue. However, if tax revenue is part of the justification for providing this business, then the financial track record of the individual responsible for collecting and remitting these taxes is a relevant consideration. I believe residents have every right to ask whether this applicant has demonstrated the level of responsibility necessary to manage these obligations. I also have concerns about the broader impact of introducing a cannabis dispensary into a rural small community. Cash-heavy businesses can present increased security risks, attract additional outside traffic, and place demands on local resources. Residents are justified in considering how this type of business may affect the character and identity of Mayville and Gilliam County as a whole. Ultimately, this is not about being pro-cannabis or anti-cannabis. It is about whether this is the right business operated by the right individual in the right location. Based on the information available, I do not believe this proposal meets that standard. I respectfully ask the county court to deny this request and to place these comments into the public record. Thank you for your time and consideration. Jennifer Hall, Condon, Oregon. Okay, we have another letter. Okay.
I made some copies, yes.
Okay. Are you going to?
I can
Okay.
give it to you.
Okay.
I'll keep the original, but I did go next door, make copies, and I just
Okay.
gave one to the applicant.
Okay. And this letter, it's Julie Michaelo. Maybe that's more helpful to say who the letter is from first. I am writing in regards to the potential opening of a marijuana shop in Mayville. I have concerns about selling recreational marijuana. I am wanting to keep this letter brief, so I just highlighted a couple of points. And I know that I have only used articles that support my point of view. I am citing and using directly from 2 articles. Every Brain Matters, May 28th, 2025, and Psychology Today, November, let me start over. Every Brain Matters, November 28th, 2025, Psychology Today, November 11th, 2025. I know that it is debated that marijuana is a gateway drug, that the risk is greater to move on to other drugs if you abuse marijuana. 1, the states hit hardest by homelessness and mental health issues are overwhelmingly the same states that aggressively commercialize retail marijuana, of which Oregon is one. And 2, it is well established that marijuana has a connection to psychosis. Please don't let Gilliam County be part of the problem. Thank you for your consideration, Julie Michaelo. Okay, that is the written opposition testimony. Let me go back to the script. Oh, excuse me, there's one more letter. It is more about process, but I'm going to read it because that's erring on the side of caution to read them all. This is from Laura Pryor. I am, to whom it may concern, I'm not sure where the Gilliam County Planning Commission work is being done currently. However, I believe that if this is the wrong place, it will be able to be forwarded. I received a notice of a planning commission meeting occurring today. This was written on May 26th at 1:20 p.m. when I picked up my mail in my mailbox. Obviously a bit late to contact anyone in the county. There are a couple of things wrong with this situation. 1, I have very little involvement with this property. And 2, these documents arrived too late for me to alert the correct person that needs to be involved, Mark Pryor. Mark lives in Torrance, California. I hope my receiving the documents was only a courtesy. If it was not, please contact Mark as soon as possible. So that had to do with noticing a pitchy landowner of this potential amendment. Okay. We have listened to the testimony in favor. We've listened to testimony in opposition. Is there any neutral testimony? Is there any online neutral testimony? No in-person neutral testimony? And there's no written neutral testimony. Okay. Is there any questions of the staff in the county court?
Oh, wait, hold on. Go ahead, Sarah. But you'll have to unmute. Sarah Conaway.
Okay. Okay. Hold on just a moment, Sarah. We're working on access for you to speak.
Sarah, oh, we've got another minute. I'm not sure why. Sorry, I don't know what it's.
Okay, are you there, Sarah?
And then, Connie, the other one.
Okay, Connie Anderson.
Yeah,
Okay,
I'm not sure why you think it on me.
we'll work on it for
Can you hear me speaking?
yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so that means it's on their end then.
We're in, okay.
Maybe try turning up your volume. If you're trying to speak.
And they have permission. They have, okay.
See, I'm gonna ask her. Sarah, do you want to type in the chat what your comment is and I can read it out loud? She can hear me.
And I did put the 2 letters we just received, copies of them on the table in case there's any audience members interested.
Of the two that I read, no
Yeah,
additional.
the two
Okay,
new ones.
thank you.
Wait a little bit longer.
Okay, and that's it. I will ask for direction from our planning director about what we do about that. Want to make sure everybody has an opportunity, so do you have any questions of our planning staff?
I do have a question about, I would like to know the difference between the retailing and then the wholesale.
So in the research that I did, our code doesn't clearly define the difference. Wholesaling, as I understand it, is regulated because it is taking a product that is produced off premises and then selling it in large quantities. It would be different than if they were growing it on site and selling it. And it's also different than taking it grown from somewhere else and then selling it in small personal use quantities. So wholesaling would be selling it to other dispensaries or the like in large amounts.
So to understand it, then it would be permitted wholesaling?
That is part of their request. The Planning Commission did not recommend that part for approval. Currently, wholesaling is not allowed in any zone, including the industrial zone, which the industrial zone currently allows retailing, but does not allow wholesaling.
Would you repeat that in the industrial zone?
So in the industrial zone in Gilliam County, retailing is currently allowed. That's currently the only zone that marijuana retailing is allowed, but wholesaling is not allowed in any zone.
Okay. Okay. Are there any other questions? Stephanie?
I don't have any right now.
So I do have another question. I realize the applicant says that it would only be for Mayville, but how, if we set that precedence, then how do we deny other requests in the future?
So this was a big topic between our first and our second planning commission hearings, and that was the reason the planning commission requested the continuance, because they wanted clarification on whether or not you could segregate a individual community within the zone. And we didn't really get a clear answer as to whether or not there's any case law. About the closest thing we could find for case law was relating to what most of us would commonly refer to as spot zoning. If the request was for his specific property, then that would be a quasi judicial decision and not a legislative change, and that is not allowed through this process. But because the request was to allow an entire community, it is treated differently. So there's not really any precedent that's been set that I could find. I did reach out to a couple of my associates throughout the state and asked if anybody has any experience with this. But the closest thing that we found were a couple of RV parks, one of them in our neighbor or RV park allowances. One of them in our neighboring county, Morrow County, the old mill site there outside of Heppner, the zone there specific to that mill site allows for an RV park, but all other areas that are zoned that do not. I think for this specifically, it would only allow it within Mayville. And if anybody wanted to expand that allowance, they would have to come in, apply for another legislative change, ask for the text of the code to be changed, and then make the case as a separate matter. It's
I guess
unusual.
just looking at this though, it would be setting a precedent. But if somebody wanted to do, it would be pretty hard, but not
Yeah.
conform to them also. So
If you're looking at any use, it is unusual. as a planner, as a simple matter, no matter the request, we don't like to see exclusions within zones. Typically, when something is zoned as such, all areas that are zoned that, all standards would be the same. It does make it difficult to implement. So, ideally, all of your zones would be clearly defined for all allowances for every single property that's within that zone. So this would be unique.
Mhm.
I do have an online comment too.
Okay,
Sarah Conaway posted, the voters of Gilliam County passed the cannabis use by vote. Our vote should count and matter regardless of whether or not you are a user. The majority of the county voted to pass the legislation. Personal opinions should not necessarily be held with the same weight as a legally passed ordinance by legal voters. She had a customer, apparently, that's why she wasn't on before, so,
okay.
yeah. That's it.
So it sounds as if when the vote happened in 2015, and you may not know this, that then the county court made a decision about how they would manage that. And their decision at that time, it appears, was to allow retail dispensaries, I guess,
Mhm.
in industrial zones.
Correct. Yes. And in the packet, if you, I didn't number them, but if you looked at the marijuana standards in section 8.270 for marijuana businesses, if you actually go to the use table and procedures, it does define all of the zones in Gilliam County, the unincorporated areas of Gilliam County, and whether or not production, growing, processing, or retailing, if it's allowed. And the limited industrial zone and the general industrial zone both allow for marijuana retailing as a use conditionally. So there are areas of the county where it is currently allowed. When the applicant first came to us, we said, in where you're at, it is not allowed for retail purposes. However, you could do it for production or growing or processing only. So that was why the request came in front of you, is because they would like to change that so that way they could allow it conditionally. And then if you go into the standards around marijuana retailing under 8.270 F, that outlines 4 standards for anybody that would apply for that conditional use permit and the standards around it. So when I mentioned that we should have discussion, if it were the choice of the court to move forward and allow this as a conditional use permit, I think it's important to recognize that if Mayville were the community where it was allowed, to recognize the fact that Mayville is all but accessed by Highway 19, which is an arterial way through the county and sees high volumes of traffic. Oregon Department of Transportation was noticed in this, and they did not provide comment at this time. However, at the point in time that somebody were to apply to allow their individual business, if approved, if today's request was approved, we would evaluate it based upon the standards under marijuana retailing subsection F. And that talks about their hours and window service, any odor and how that would be controlled, co-location of related activities and uses, and then minimum separation distances. It doesn't specifically call out any transportation impacts, and staff would recommend that at a minimum, you would have some language there that would state that notice should be provided to the Oregon Department of Transportation with a time frame, which is generally a little bit longer than what you would provide adjoining property owner notice, to give Oregon Department of Transportation time to comment so they can evaluate transportation planning rules as a statewide matter. So that's why I recommended that.
Okay, so do you have anything additional in response to the testimony we received?
I don't specifically. I mean, the applicant will have the opportunity to rebut any testimony that was in opposition. I just wanted to I can't overstate the fact that this is a text amendment and that the applicant, if it were to be approved, would still need to come to the planning department and apply for that conditional use permit, which would then go through the process to obtain that approval. So today's decision would not give the applicant the approval for their proposed use. Right? It would just amend the text.
Okay. Does a member of the county court have any further questions from staff? And at this point, does he?
Yes,
come up?
rebuttal testimony.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Come on up, if you'd like to provide any testimony. First, when you come up, I'll have you state your name and your city for the record.
My name is Tony Carpenter, and Rick and I have planned this for a little while, and we decided to do it because it was going to be a community thing, being able to help out and stuff because things are so terrible nowadays. I must say, I myself have no criminal record, and I don't know where the criminal record's coming in or any kind of personal attack. And then she said it was not a personal attack, but I don't like that. But anyway, the no wholesaling and processing was approved in the 2015, as you mentioned. And my rebuttal is as far as the marijuana being considered as a gateway drug, it has been changed from a class 1 drug to a class 3. It's no worse than alcohol. Alcohol is so much worse. We don't smoke. We don't deal with it. We know a lot of people that smoke, and we see a lot of people elderly wanting to get some rubs and CBD oils and things like that. So we feel that that would be a very beneficial thing. Plus the income that's coming from the proceeds, the city, state will be, or the county, and the state would be receiving their share, and we would also be being able to put our efforts into making sure that the community has what they need as far as CBD rubs, the tinctures, and some, whatnot. So there is no odor. Any odor is obtained inside the facility. We're not processing anything. We will not be putting any pot on our property besides what's in the facility. And the traffic, there will be no more traffic, and we will do a study if the court requires us to go ahead and do so. But there's not going to be any more traffic on Highway 19 where we live in Mayville than summer traffic. So we're very clean people, and I don't like it being called a pot shop. That's very offensive, I think, because it's a cannabis retail market is what our quote motto is going to be. So it's all, we clean, we organize the property. We got it very nice compared to what it used to be, and we just want things to go smoothly and help out. That's it.
Thank you. Do you have any questions based on the rebuttal? Okay. Thank you.
We have another comment in line. I don't know, should I read that out, or is there still time to do that for another comment?
The hearing's still open.
It is still open. Yeah, I think, is it,
It's in support.
I think that's probably okay. If it was in opposition, they would have another.
Oh, yeah, right. Go ahead.
It's from Sarah Conway. Additionally, I would like to point out that it was to be open in Condon, where it also passed by registered voters, the perceived traffic issue would impact the town. Also, those wishing anonymity would get that more in Mayville than in Condon city limits.
Okay.
Yeah, she didn't comment.
Okay. So our process at this point, we have one person who attempted to speak was not able to, if it was for technology related. I guess my question is, should we close the hearing, or because of this potential testimony, the person wasn't able to speak?
I think that's at your discretion. You're welcome to leave it
Can we
open.
leave it open for a period of time?
Yes, so there is the opportunity, you could leave it open for 7 days would be the recommended time that you would leave it open for any testimony to come in. And then at that point, then you would have to allow for at least additional 7 days for the applicant and any participants to provide testimony relevant to testimony you've already received. And then an additional 7 days for them to do another rebuttal in case you receive further testimony in opposition. So it'd be like a 7-7-7.
Okay, well, we noticed this meeting.
Yeah.
You know, it could have been provided in person or in writing.
Yeah.
You know,
The other opportunity would be to continue this, to hear more public testimony at your next commission or your next county court hearing. If you chose to do that as well, and then you could close it at that time because that kind of shortens that time frame.
Okay.
But you don't have to.
yeah,
I did ask her during the public testimony and just now, if she has any comments right to the court, she hasn't responded.
okay,
Okay.
all right, okay. I feel we've given her an opportunity. Everyone else that wanted to speak was able to. I don't know how you feel about whether or not we keep it open or close it, but I think we've provided ample opportunity for public testimony.
And staff did make an effort. We had the first planning commission hearing in Condon. They continued it to another hearing in Condon. And that was why we wanted to do this here today. So that way we gave an opportunity to folks that were in both Condon and Arlington to come out and provide their testimony. So from the beginning of this until now, there's been over a month and a half of available opportunity to provide
So
testimony.
we don't have to make a decision today.
Correct. You don't have to. You could close the public testimony
And then make a
portion.
decision at,
Yes, you could deliberate. You would just want to make sure that you specify the time, date specific for deliberation only. So that way that provides for your notice and we don't have to republish the notice.
what are your thoughts? I say
Well-
close the testimony, but go ahead.
And I think probably at the time that was passed, it was the understanding that if we did have any retail cannabis, it would be in industrial zones when the voters voted on that. So I'm curious if the voters would still vote that way.
Mhm.
They knew that it could be rezoned and.
So are we asking at this point, first of all, are we closing the hearing? I say we close the hearing, but what do you think?
I'm good with closing the hearing on the testimony and
Commissioner Watkins, do you
Yeah.
have any thoughts on that? And then the next question is going to be, would we deliberate now or wait? So I would prefer to deliberate at the next meeting.
So I think that's what staff would ask is that you make the motion to close the testimony if that were your wish. And that way it goes through the formal process to close that and then make a decision as to whether or not you'll deliberate or continue it.
Okay, so a motion to close the hearing and deliberate and notice when that our next meeting will be in Condon.
July 1st.
It's the 1st. I thought it was the 7th. Okay. July 1st. Are we prepared to do this on July 1st? And if the two of you are interested in deliberating now, that's fine too.
yes, I would prefer to go deliberate on the first.
Yeah, that.
And I think even though we would not be under contract or virtually or something.
Thank you.
So that way I can answer any questions since the new planning director hasn't been through this from the beginning until now. So if there were
Mhm.
questions that came up about the process up until this point,
Mhm.
I'm sure I could probably join you
Yeah.
at a minimum virtually.
Right. And my reason for not making the decision right now is we received testimony cold today that we hadn't heard or seen. And it's just a matter of absorbing that and making a solid decision. It's a big decision. Making sure it's solid. That's how I feel about it. So then so we would need a motion if we're going to do so, to close the hearing and to deliberate July 1st. Time, do we say time?
Yes.
10:00 a.m. is the meeting time,
July 1st. Okay.
Gilliam County Courthouse.
Also move to close public testimony and continue the deliberation of July 1st meeting.
July 1st, 10:00 a.m. Okay. All right,
Second.
it's been moved and seconded to close the public hearing and to deliberate on the matter of considering application for a zone amendment to allow cannabis retail in rural unincorporated zone. Deliberation will take place July 1st, Gilliam County Courthouse, 10:00 a.m. Okay. And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. All right, thank you very much. Okay, thank you.
You.
Okay, so that concludes the big here. All right, 4.0 correspondence, public comment. This is relative to the meeting in general. Jed Crowther, did you have anything you wanted to say to us?
No, I just noted agenda items that I'm interested in hearing the
Oh.
discussions
Sure. Okay,
and maybe comment during those portions.
great. Okay, all right. Any comment on line? General comments?
I sent a text to Andy, so
Oh, good.
he'll be
Yeah.
joining.
Okay, I'll watch for him.
Okay.
Okay, so that will be Anderson Perry will come in whenever he's able. We'll revert back to his comments. But we'll continue on with the agenda in the meantime. All right, so no other public comment? 5.0 consent agenda. We have 3 items. We have consider approval of the U.S. Department of Agriculture Wildlife Services contract. There is no increase in the contract. It's the same as it was last year. 5.2, consider approval of intergovernmental agreement, Arlington School District, Condon School District to fund a dual high school college credit program. This again is the same agreement. It's $60,000 countywide. If one district doesn't use their 30,000, they've agreed to allow the other district to use more than their 30,000. It's been successful and it's a very good program. The other one is 5.3, consider approval of regular meeting minutes from June 3rd. Good motion.
I haven't quite, how did the dual high school college program work last year?
It went well. Both school districts utilized it. I don't have the actual amounts. Brooklyn might, that what they utilized. I think we received a invoice from the city of, from Arlington School District for 12,000, I think.
Yeah, then the Condon School District, I think, expended 8. So it's just
Okay.
20, about a third of what was utilized. I do have a question. Is the amendment to add?
Oh, yes, I apologize, Brooklyn, you're right. We need to amend one word in the agreement. And so go to 5.2, look at the dual, if we're interested in approving this. Under item 4, it talks about how the invoicing will be done. And we would like to add second sentence, just one word. In addition to the invoice that currently reads, or the draft you have currently reads, we would like to add the word, in addition to an itemized invoice, the school district shall include receipts for payment, etc. So what happened to us yesterday? I'll just come out with what happened. We received a bunch of bills, like a year's worth of bills with one amount of money, and we were having to go through all those bills. It would be great if the district just itemized it for us so that we didn't have to go back through and do all of that work. So that's all it is. So if you do approve that, it would be with the addition of the word itemized under item 4, the contract, itemized invoice.
I'll move to approve the consent agenda with the language change on 5.2.
Second motion.
Okay. It has been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Andy's on.
Okay. Well, we'll go back to public comment. Andy Lindsay, whenever you're ready.
Hey, yeah, Andy Lindsay with Anderson Perry. Give you a quick update on the Cedar Springs Road project. What's going on there and what we've been doing recently. Just kind of update a few things from the last update I gave you. We've had some field work done recently. Our biologist was out there to delineate the area around the proposed mitigation site. That went well. The report's just about done with that. The cultural resources folks were also out there doing their test probes. They did find a few archaeological sites of concern. We haven't seen the full report yet, but we've kind of gotten the location of those areas and don't think those will be a big issue. I think they'll be easily avoided. So hopefully that's not an impact to our project, but we'll see once we get their final report. Should see that hopefully within the week. It's been a couple of weeks out now, so we should see that soon. We also recently did some geotechnical testing out there in the area of the proposed the mitigation site, just to kind of look at the soil conditions and make sure it's adequate for creating the new wetland that we want to do. Again, the kind of initial results that we've seen looked good. Again, waiting kind of for that final report, but I think all signs are good to go there. So that's the good news stuff. When we have a preliminary layout of the mitigation area, I'm gonna come over and meet with Grant and Dewey next week and kind of go over some design not issues, just to make sure everybody's on the same page and get some clarification on a few things. Roadway design is pretty much complete. Need to clean up some intersection stuff. But then once we kind of go through a few items with that, and we'll be able to clean up the mitigation site plan, then I think we'll be pretty close to being ready to start actually submitting our permit applications. We've done the floodplain analysis. There is a couple things to do with there. There's a no rise certification, and we anticipate getting that kind of flood risk assessment memo into the county planning office, hopefully by the end of the month, if not the first or really early in July. Yeah, that's kind of the quick and dirty update. Things are moving along, feeling pretty good about it. Less nervous about the wetland stuff than I was a few months ago, so that's a good sign. I think we're on track to get permits going here within a month or so and start that process. So seems like it's been a long ways to get to here, but I think we're on the right track now. So.
Okay.
Sounds good.
And yeah, like I said, I'm going to meet with Grant Dewey on Tuesday next week, kind of go over the plans and kind of get eyes on a few things and just make sure everybody's comfortable with where we are. And I think once we do that, we plan on reaching out to the DSL Department of State Lands, kind of a pre-application discussion, make sure they're comfortable with the path we're going down to. So
Good.
Yeah.
Commissioner Watkins, did you have any questions? Okay, anything else?
Just keep going forward.
Thank you for moving us through. And
Yep.
thanks for the update today.
Yep, anytime.
Thank you.
Thanks, Andy. See you Tuesday.
Yep, thank you.
Okay, I am noticing something that we might want to do out of courtesy. We have Tom Russell here from Auburn Grid, and I'm going to ask the commissioners if we can move up 7.3 and 7.4, which is consider approval of community benefit agreement for early learning childcare for the battery storage, as well as the amendment to the pilot agreement. If we could move those two items up right now. Are we comfortable with that? And then you can be on your way.
I was gonna say, we were probably gonna stay for the whole, so.
Oh, you're gonna stay for the whole, okay.
Yeah.
I maybe should have talked to you about that,
Oh,
but we're just,
okay,
okay, we're just gonna
yeah.
keep going through the agenda as it goes, so.
Sounds great, yeah, we appreciate it.
Okay,
Yeah, yeah,
no
thank you.
problem,
Yeah.
thank you. All right, so we're just gonna continue as the agenda is written, unfinished business 6.0. 6.1, consider adoption of revised financial reconciliation policy. Let's see. Okay, this came from our treasurer, Kelly Smith. Is she online perhaps?
Yes.
Okay, Kelly, would you like to address this? You've only been on the job truly for a few days, but if you're there and
Yes, I am here. Give me just a second to get my bearings. I wasn't quite listening fully.
Okay. Did you want to address the matter, the briefing that you prepared? If you don't, that's fine. It's fairly concise. Doesn't really need a whole lot of explanation if you would just like us to handle it from here.
No, I can give a quick overview. So I am going to be kind of looking through our financial processes and with the accountants, Marina and Company, and the auditors, Singer and Luac, they are recommending some updated policies, financial policies and procedures. So this is kind of just the beginnings of some financial policy changes. And for the reconciliation policy, we would like to add a member of the court as a reviewer of bank statements. So a member of the court would have independent access to the statements only on a bank account, so view access for the online banking, and they would then take that bank statement and compare it to the reconciliation that I prepare each month, just as a second set of eyes, double checking to make sure that everything is in accordance. And I believe we added the wording to make that a designated member of the county court, so that when the county court designates the members that are going to be, overseeing the different boards and committees and things like that, you can appoint a court member to also be in charge of the bank reconciliations.
Okay.
I think that about covers it. Does anybody have any questions?
Any questions, commissioners?
Okay.
Okay.
I think it's long overdue.
Mhm. Okay. All right. Do we have a motion?
I'll move to approve the revised financial reconciliation policy as presented.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. All
Yep.
right, thank you, Kelly. All right, 6.2, unfinished business. Discuss economic enhancement ordinance potential revisions. All right, so we've had a lot of discussion. We brought in the budget committee to talk about this. We have received some input. This ordinance has been in place since 1991. So the original ordinance was 91. So this document has evolved and changed over time based on the needs of the community. I think it's a fluid document. Anya prepared a document, which I can't put my fingers on right now. Maybe I have it in here. A really great
On the history.
history. Oh, yeah. And it's not, we didn't post it online, but it's a good snapshot from 1991 to current. How did the percentages of money get split up and what and where? So it was interesting to see in the beginning, it was basically homestead rebate, general fund, money to the cities. And then it grew and changed over time and, based on current needs, debt we had that we don't have now, programs, road situations, childcare's been in and, it's been there, let's see, 2002, there was 1.5% then and then not until current did that change. So it's been in a long time, on and off. So, it's just an interesting document. I think it shows a lot of history. So, but I do think that this ordinance is foundational to Gilliam County's operation. And just for anybody who, hasn't heard what is this ordinance? It is derived from waste management host fees. The host fee agreement specifically states that the funds, so for every ton of garbage that's tipped at waste management, we receive a certain amount of money. And that money goes into the Economic Enhancement Fund. And the ordinance dictates how those funds are allocated. So the foundation has to be economic enhancement, promoting a livability, economic opportunities, those sorts of things. So anything that falls in line with that is what we're looking at. So I guess I'll say some of my thoughts and then everybody can just say what they think, from what we've heard from our prior meetings and if we're prepared to move forward with considering an ordinance amendment. One thing we did here was EMS, fire, and emergency services potentially reserved for that. Historically, there was I believe it was a capital, let me see, law enforcement fund. There was a fund for like radio equipment and things like that for law enforcement. So I think the link there with EMS, fire, emergency services is when your economy changes, when you have growth, all of those services are impacted. So I do think it's a link we can make to economic, the subject of our economy. So I don't think it's far away from what that is. There's so many things that are, but I think we can make the link. So one of my thoughts was, if we take, the conservative amount of money we've received historically, and it should be more, but you got to remember with these funds, nothing's guaranteed. Contracts can drop off. I don't think they will. History has shown us over the last almost 40 years, it's a pretty stable, with the current contracts they have, pretty stable funding source. But it's all on their economic prosperity, waste management. So we're linked there. So if we set that at 6%, okay, $5 million is our basic amount of money that we receive a year from the host fees. 6% of that is 300,000. If we allocated 6% to EMS, fire, emergency services, that's a thought. And then the other thought I have is we don't have anything in here for workforce development. And this has never been brought up before, but I'm just bringing it up because I think it's an important thing. What are we doing to build our workforce? Should we be designating some funds for scholarships for trades and college-bound programs? We have 2 scholarship foundations, one in Condon and one in Arlington. If we evenly split a certain amount of money, and set some criteria for these dollars, such as upon completion or in the fields of heavy equipment operation or wind energy or solar or whatever may be what we're trying to do to develop our workforce, we might, that's just something to think about. 6% of that again would be 300,000. If we split that between the two, that'd be an infusion of 150,000 for each scholarship foundation. So there's two thoughts. If you go, I'm just looking at the distribution, you probably are too, of the economic enhancement ordinance. Those would be additions. So we would have to reallocate within the percentages. City of Arlington, City of Condon. One of my thoughts on this is we have never had any, that I could tell from the history, any strings, I guess, on what that would be used for. And one of my thoughts is you have to have infrastructure, and that ties to economic enhancement, sustainability for your communities. So should we be earmarking those funds? Those are used for infrastructure. The other thought, and this is going to be different than anything you've ever heard. If we directed the childcare early learning money to the cities, that's a possibility, and up their percentage. Part of it or the whole thing? That's for discussion. One of the things that's come clear over the last 2 years is I'm not sure if I think the cities have a good pulse on their own communities and their own communities' needs. And maybe that's the better way. I don't know if they'd be interested, but it's just a thought. Going down, whatever we do with early learning, I think we need to include the words childcare / early learning. Gilliam County Road Fund, with economic growth and all of that goes with it, it impacts our roads. So I think rather than the 15.5%, 20%, that's $1 million as opposed to around 800,000 if we're using our $5 million benchmark. Housing development. It says workforce housing, but should we be working on all housing? If your communities want families to come live and work, accountants, physician's assistants, teachers, law enforcement, wind energy, that could be workforce, but is it all workforce housing? Maybe that just needs to say housing. And maybe we need to focus that money on things like building ready lots. Put more money into that avenue. The homestead rebate line item, my thought on that is we have grown the homestead rebate. If you go to the second to the last line on the distribution, the homestead rebate endowment fund has built to the point of sustainability. So I would zero out that 3% and then move, go back up to the homestead rebate distribution line item. The reason there were two is they were trying to grow the endowment. Well, now we're able to live off the interest, even at the $1,500 payment for every qualifying household. So I don't think we need that, and it could be reinstated at any point. I think we can go back and make that 11.5%, 13%. That brings in enough for what it costs per year for the homestead rebate. So what that is, and I'm sure most people know, but it's for every qualifying household. This program was foundational to the beginning of this ordinance. For every qualifying household, about the time that a person's property taxes upon application, the property tax bill comes, they receive a check in the mail. Legally, we couldn't just deduct it from the property tax. So it's up to $1,500 per qualifying household. That incentivizes homeownership. It incentivizes people living here, that your workforce lives and works here and all of that.
So did the 11.5% cover all of the rebates
it
last
didn't.
year?
It did last year.
Okay.
Last year it did. But I'm wondering if what's gonna happen with that. I was thinking if the only reason I'm saying this is I just took it from down below and there's a little bit to spare. The only reason I'm saying that, it just makes it a secure amount. So at 13% at 650,000, and it was somewhere in the $600,000 range was what the expense was. I can't remember exactly, but we also don't know, as others here, oh, we're getting $1,500. There might be more applications. I was trying not to have to touch that again. I haven't thought this through. So these are just some thoughts I wrote down.
If they just made it then an even 12% and then took the other 2.5% and used it somewhere else, that it can always be revisited.
Yes.
If it's not.
Right. I mean, when you look at this ordinance has changed and evolved many, many times. And I think sometimes they saw something wasn't working, we just relaxed it.
Or it just doesn't get used. I mean, sometimes all the money is not getting used.
Exactly, which I wrote that down on the top of
Which
this.
is why there's all the unappropriated funds.
I wrote that very problem down. One problem, carryover. One advantage, carryover.
Yeah.
Because it's an advantage because we have a pot of money that if we had a huge project, like a swimming pool or a housing project, we have some funds that we could do something with. North and South and special projects, it's been there since the beginning, or let's see. Oh, that started in 96. So that's a pretty good longstanding program. Those are special projects grant funds for community events. And our entities, our nonprofits and our taxing districts. Popular, the only problem with that is the north end doesn't use as much as the south end, but it's always been 2%. I wasn't thinking of changing that in my thoughts. The revolving transition line item is it's always been there. It's statutory, untold. It's 1%, leaving that alone. And then business development line item. Okay. I'm wondering if we want to bolster that and further involve McFed. Because that's exactly what they do is incentivize business development. And now that we're in McFed, I mean, I was thinking even 10%. I don't know. I'm just thinking we can do better there. Let's go back up to the economic development line item. One of the issues with our carryover is this. When we don't spend that, it grows and grows and grows. And by reallocating these percentages, we can reduce that lump sum amount. I think we can address our economic development needs through our carryover if we have special projects or a project that all of us may decide to do, maybe the port or Pioneer Community Development or whatever as a community. And we can use our carryover for that. And we can lessen that 20% going into that line item every year. I was thinking maybe 7.5%. It's $375,000. These are just one person's thoughts. I'm not married to any of these ideas. I just think we need a place to start so we can decide what to do.
Go.
Well, I'm not opposed to, putting a line item in there that will use some of that unappropriated funds, which I believe is gonna be close to $12 million.
Mm-hmm.
And then redistributing the rest of it as we did then.
Mhm. So currently the business development line item is 4%. So it's 200,000. So that's with the chamber. That would bolster it by, I don't know, maybe that's too much, 500,000, but that's another 300,000. We've never really addressed business development. What do we need? Do we need a car wash? Do we need, we react to the applications now. We don't promote any particular economic growth. And I don't know if McKed can help us with that, but that's a thought. Some of these are easy fixes and some of them are a little more complicated. Anybody else? Go ahead. I'm done talking.
Well, and I think the court has to be mindful of, private enterprise versus private businesses supported by government, because, that's an unfair advantage to people that, come in and start a business with their own money. So I think that promoting private businesses is a slippery slope.
Okay.
For the court. But I think as far as infrastructure, just like what the port did with the new, is better spent money than.
Okay.
So on infrastructure, just that would be like under economic, would take it there.
Yeah, economic development could be infrastructure, or help with infrastructure.
Yeah, like right now, our fiber grant that we have for the north end, our matches, we're using some of that.
Yeah.
And that's infrastructure. So that falls in line with what you say. There's always been a business, I shouldn't say always, for several years, I guess I should look. It used to be the port. The port used to manage the business development program, the business program, and then it went to the chamber. But the only reason I thought of that is now we have McKed that can help us. They actually operate more on the loans. But.
So when you said chamber, was that the city chambers or Frontier? Frontier.
Yeah, Frontier currently administers
Right.
these, yeah.
Business loans.
Right.
Yeah. Like I say, I think the nice thing about that is the one thing that offers for private enterprise. Some help, yes.
Yes, through the chamber.
Yeah.
Which is why we sent it there.
Yeah.
So that
Yeah.
they could go through their own application thing there. Yeah.
Oh, do some,
In your comment about port typically handling that business development and the difference between infrastructure, is it infrastructure or is it not? What the port did back then was actually you could construe as infrastructure because it was like, if you were gonna open a business, you could use that money for signage, you could use it for an accounting system, you could use it for advertisement. There were different things that you could use it for in starting up a brand new business. You had to have a business plan, it had to be solid, but you could use that money for that startup, which to me kind of fits under infrastructure in business development.
Yeah.
I mean, just a thought there. And if you continued using Pioneer Frontier, maybe just bump that up a little bit to enhance being able to put some money out for helping these new businesses with that infrastructure. Just a thought.
Yeah. Okay.
Because it is important. It's hard to put all that stuff together.
Yeah.
Judge Patton, Brooklyn Griffith wants to.
Yes. Go ahead, Brooklyn.
I was just going to say that currently with that percentage at the 4%, it's the 220,000. However, your agreement with the chamber is just $275,000. So it comes out to be 165. So there is roughly $50,000 within that
Means
distribution
that we
line
carried
item.
over the year,
that-
we don't spend
that
it,
is
yeah.
being expended. So you could increase that agreement as well with the chamber to capture that other 50,000 if an increase of the percentage wasn't something you guys were seeking.
Mhm. Yeah, go ahead, Jen.
This is one of your next items, but the agreement with the IGA with McCad,
Mm-hmm,
you would be paying them 50,000 a year.
mm-hmm.
So that could maybe fit out of that business development line item to pay them, I don't know.
Yeah, I had taken it out of the economic development.
Yeah.
Yeah, just the general line item. This year we did anyway.
That's-
So, but yeah, thank you.
What was really handy was when Brooke had that, she could put the amount up there and we could
Right,
move the percentages
Mhm.
around and you could see
right.
right away. what-
Yeah. And we've talked about this and talked about it. And, we didn't do that this time because we just wanted it to be a discussion, but I agree. We can do that. And when
Yeah.
we make a decision about what we want this to be, then we can move that around.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We do have a public hearing scheduled for this
Mhm.
ordinance for July 1st, so that's something to consider for that one.
Boy, it's
Mhm.
stacking up. I
Did we advertise it already?
No.
Okay. We don't have to have the
Yeah.
public hearing, but it's like
It's
on our,
Yeah.
our schedule.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
Cause the
Our-
last time I went through this is, I think we kind of set on what we thought was good figures. And then we had the
Mhm.
public hearing after that.
Mhm. Yeah, so I just wanted it to be open so that everybody can hear and talk about it so we can decide what we're gonna do.
One
Oh.
other thing too.
Yeah.
When you were talking about, early learning sustainability, you had 20%
Mm-hmm.
listed there. And then, you brought up the fact that maybe the cities should be
Mhm.
involved in that.
Mm-hmm.
And I was looking at your home state rebate fund, which you're looking to change up.
Mm-hmm.
And it was at 11.5%.
Right.
What I was thinking is if you took your 20% that's now early learning
Mm-hmm.
and you gave 11.5% to the endowment for that, and gave the 8.5 that was left over to each of the split
So
that between the cities.
my thought on that, which is kind of along your line, was, okay, city of Arlington, this is what it would, currently it's 6. We could make it, my thought was 12 or 13.
Okay.
And their uses would be infrastructure, childcare, early learning, period. And then potentially have whatever's left and do the same thing for the city of Condon.
Mhm.
So that's 24%. And you could either, leave the endowment or talk about that.
You could change the endowment to 11%.
Yeah, because here's the problem, and it's the problem we've never solved. The SIPs are running off. We have to have operational funding, but then we want endowment. We don't have all the money built. The only other way would be to take our money out of our reserves, our carryover, which seems like maybe there's some people that thought that, but I don't think that's a good idea.
I think that you have to start, if you're gonna do the endowment, you have to start doing it, because it's not building if there's nothing in it.
And we'll have 3 years down at $1 million next year.
So that's good.
Mm-hmm.
So,
So then that way the cities have they have input, they have choices, and they would be helping to address the needs of their own communities. And then
at the same time, the
Mhm.
county's building the endowment, which provides some sustainability.
so what did you think of an amount in the endowment?
I was looking.
Like percentage.
At 11.5. Somewhere in that neighborhood,
Okay, I'll have to.
maybe 12, I don't know. If it's just a number, I don't do numbers,
Okay.
so I don't know.
Yeah, that's why that tool's handy cause you can put the
Yeah,
amount
and see what,
that you
and what the bottom
project
line
is, which would be conservative at 5 million and
Mhm.
then.
Yeah,
it-
and then you adjust from there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay, So,
And then I think we need to somehow put a line item in there that spends down some of that unappropriated funds, whether we just set it at an amount and it's added to economic development or business development, one of those.
so each budget year, we have that luxury,
Yeah.
which we did this year because what we did was the fiber grant is was it a $7 million grant? Well, the match was 25%, but we could potentially get 2 years completed this year of a 5-year project. So we budgeted for the match, and that's where that came from. I believe it might have come from, anyway, yeah, so we budgeted for that. And that's what I think could help. The thing on the housing development, you know, whatever our vehicle is, whether it's a PCDC, you know, we need to be saying, here's the money. Okay, let's just say it is 400,000. How many homes can you get lots ready for? And that they're helping make that happen. It's a partnership, but we have the funding because our stumbling block, especially in Condon, is the expense because of the distance. You see more growth happening here. It's just more expensive to get materials there and get builders out there. So if we infused that, and again, if infrastructure, anyway, this is just the
make it
thought.
more attractive to builders too, when there's multiple projects instead of just
Mhm.
coming
That's a
for
big part
one
of it.
house.
That's true. That's
So,
true.
cause you know, it didn't look like they had much trouble getting the ones built up at the
Mm-hmm.
baseball field.
Yeah. We just need to replicate that idea. Mhm. So anyway, this is just to start trying to get this narrowed down because when we talk about all of it, it gets to, and just trying to get it. Where's our areas of focus? Do you have any other areas of focus we missed?
I think the only
Okay.
thing that was brought up was the EMS during the budget time, so, and what that looks like.
Yeah, and, you know, this EMS, we've got to address it and start building that. And I am for funding the childcare in the north and south for Gilliam County. Even though the court's not required to, but I am against the endowment. The endowment needs to go away. We need to build some funds for emergency services to get ahead of this coming down the road that we're gonna have to fill gaps of. Because if we don't, it's ultimately gonna fall back on the court.
Mhm.
And the court has some other things coming in place today that's gonna help, it looks like.
Mhm.
But I don't know, we're not gonna figure this out today, but I guess my
Mhm.
thoughts and suggestion is,
So you want the childcare endowment to go away or to slow down?
no, I want it to
The
go
growth.
away. I don't think the endowment should be there for the childcare. This is funds from the tipping fee, the landfill's growing. And we have funds to continually fund some childcare and help. If that were to ever go away, we've got more problems than funding the childcare. I just don't agree with the endowment.
Okay, this is a discussion.
And I guess my thoughts to, I don't know, maybe have each one of us kind of come up with our list.
Yes, let's do
Get
that.
them and kind of, you know, thoughts.
Right.
But yeah,
One thing we could do is we'd be pushing this off one meeting. But the next meeting, we could have a work session and we could do it at the beginning of the meeting, before our meeting, maybe start at 9:00 and have a couple of weeks to come up with our own list and decide how we're gonna do this. Then the meeting on the 7th, not the second meeting in July.
15th.
Thank you. That would be the first, as long as we work it out, the first reading of the ordinance.
yeah.
How does that sound? Okay.
I'm gonna agree with
Okay.
I think,
All right.
I think that that's a great idea, both Grant and Judge Patno had mentioned was to come forward with each board position's proposals. Everybody come with their distribution percentages and then hash that out of, what you guys like out of one proposal versus the other, or,
Mm-hmm.
and then
And then just
have
work
that.
through it.
Yep.
Okay,
Have the proposal ready and at your meeting, go from there.
okay.
I think it's really important that everybody brings proposals forward so that it's not, so that you can visually see them. I'm happy to share the spreadsheet with you guys again so that you guys can play with those numbers. But I do think it's very important that everyone come with their proposals.
What we did before, a lot was going on with the new treasurer, and she seems to be able to handle a lot. Brooklyn handles a lot, but I wasn't gonna throw another thing at her for this meeting. Because it was just a discussion, so we'll do that. And I think it's a good idea.
How much was in tippage fees last year? How much
It was
did we
over-
end that? Yeah,
Kelly might be able to come up with that if she's still online, but it was over 5 million.
5.1 maybe.
It was over 5 million. We renegotiated the agreement. It's another 5%, I believe. I think it's 5%. And it has held steady as far as what I remember with the amount that it was.
So it'll easily be 5 million.
Yeah, when I use that, that's a conservative number, as long as everything stays the same.
Yeah, and they're hoping.
More.
more.
Mhm. Yeah, and that was before the percentage increase. So, because that didn't go into effect until January 1st. So.
Of this year.
Yeah. Okay, Brooklyn, did you have any other thoughts about what would help us get this resolved?
No, I think that we've had a lot of really good discussions regarding the economic enhancement with a lot of different entities and individuals. So I think you guys all have kind of what you're thinking you want to see out of the economic enhancement ordinance. And I think the next step is just, getting it on paper and bringing it to the table and discuss.
Yeah, good. Okay, sounds good. Thank you. All right, yeah, here. All right, 7.1, consider approval of intergovernmental agreement with Mid-Columbia Economic Development District for services. This agreement comes to you, and the briefing explains the economic development strategies also include the strategies for with input from the port and the cities. So it's not just the county. And this $50,000 agreement is for them to leverage funding for our projects, for our cities and our port and our county. Sherman County has a similar agreement. So that's where we got this idea. And we have a vehicle for it because it is the economic enhancement ordinance. I'm really excited about our relationship with McKenna and where it may lead.
If you have any questions, Jessica's on.
Okay, Jessica, did you have anything to add?
I'll just say that the scope of work is somewhat generic, and we would work with the county and your partners with the cities and the chamber and the port. Our goal would just be to help fill in where there's projects that could benefit from our work. Where we've seen this be helpful in Sherman County is a lot of work with the cities on moving their infrastructure projects forward. Project management, grant writing for like water and wastewater type projects. But definitely, we would be here to help however is needed. Recognizing that you do have partners in Gilliam County, like the chamber and the port, for example, that we don't necessarily have in Sherman County. I mean, I know the chamber is in Sherman County too, but anyway, that's all.
Okay. Do you have any questions about this agreement? It'll get us going. So,
Don't have any.
okay. Is there any further discussion or motion?
I move to approve the intergovernmental agreement with Mid-Columbia Economic Development District for services as presented.
I'll second the motion.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Right, I do want to let you know, because we're on the subject of McCad, Jessica and I have been talking about, the city representation by email and about how to go forward with that. She's explained to me how it's done in other counties. And so we're working through that. I think what it's going to be is both cities will agree. So let's just take, for example, City of Arlington has the first term. And then both cities would agree on that representative from their city council. And then the next term it would be Condon, and then Arlington would agree on that selection because they're representing all of the cities, even though they're the city representative for the term. So did I explain that right, Jessica?
Yes, that was great.
All right, thank you. And we're working through that. We have a meeting Thursday and I'll be there virtually. So good. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. 7.3, consider approval of community benefit agreement for early learning childcare with Oregon Trail Solar, Shuttler Best Edition.
7.2.
7. Oh, sorry about that. Was thinking about you, Tom. I was rushing it. 7.2, consider approval of intergovernmental agreement with Umatilla County for local administration of tobacco retail licensure inspections. Is Daleen on? Okay.
I think they have that table.
Oh, maybe you can cover this one, Commissioner Watkins.
I don't know that I know anything about it.
Okay.
Other than, yeah.
What this will do is, oh, her briefing's there, isn't it?
Yeah.
We should have a briefing. Let's just
Yeah.
look over the briefing. Which explains.
Billy was happy with it. It's just contingent on Umatilla County.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Is there any further discussion on this one? I think this is a positive. Contingent on, if the motion would have to be contingent upon legal counsel from Umatilla County.
Yeah.
It says. I don't have a problem with it. Do you want me to make a motion?
If you would like, one of the two.
I move to approve the intergovernmental agreement with Umatilla County for local administration of tobacco retail licensure inspections contingent upon the approval of the Umatilla County Board of Commissioners.
I'll second the motion.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Okay, now 7.3, which 7.3 and 7.4 will go together. There will be two separate motions if we approve. Consider approval of community benefit agreement for early learning childcare with Oregon Trail Solar, Shuttler Best Edition, and consider approval of First Amendment to payment in lieu of tax agreement with Oregon Trail Solar, Shuttler Best Edition. Come on up. Are you both coming? You can pull up another chair if so. All right. Okay, this is Tom Russell from Avangrid.
Yes. Hi, thanks for having us here.
Yeah.
Tom Russell with Avangrid. I've been with the company for about 12 years total. Just really excited about this project. Just wanted to say, like, the battery that we're contemplating here is our first battery across our entire US portfolio. So it's a big deal for our company. And just a brief history on it. It's originally developed as part of the Montague Solar, Oregon Trail Solar development. That's a 200 megawatt total complex. And we did negotiate a solar pilot with the county for Oregon Trail Solar. I believe that was signed in 2023. And as one of the components of that, we had a battery listed as part of that property, as the exempt property. And so really what we're asking for on the amendment. So this is a battery that we're prepared to go forward with. We are having a separate owner, a separate LLC for the battery specific component. So the amendment to the pilot agreement is really adding that battery LLC to that agreement. And that's pretty much the main effect of that amendment. It clarifies a couple of things, just saying that the battery that's owned by this LLC is exempt and doesn't add to the pilot payment. And then in concert with that, and while the two motions are kind of being brought together, we've got the community benefit agreements with the early child care. And actually that's like one of the reasons that we wanted to stay for the whole thing is like it's important to us to kind of hear county priorities and you know the whole economic enhancement discussion was really drives to you know sources of funding for things that are important for the county and that's what the community benefit agreements really are looking to do. So 55,000 per year to Arlington Child Care Center and Condon Early Learning Center. They each would get that for the duration of the solar pilot while the battery exists.
Okay. Could be as long, the pilots are 15 years with a potential 5-year extension.
Yes,
correct?
That's right. Yeah.
But this pilot has already begun.
The pilot begins in we're planning to initiate it in December of this year. So the first payment under the pilot will be March 2027.
Okay,
And
that I wasn't clear on. So that means that they would benefit for the life of it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, it's yeah, exactly. So the community benefit agreements also, you know, since they're tied to the pilot, they would also start in spring 2027. So the first payment would be made early next year.
Right.
Yeah.
Good.
And those get paid up front though, don't they? On the pilot itself,
The
original agreement.
Oh, there, do you mean the additional community benefit? And one to soil and water? Yeah, and those were paid out in the fall of last year, I believe.
And those were lump sum payments.
Lump sum payments.
Differing from this.
Yeah, 460,000 each, and yeah, these would be annual payments to the child care,
March 1st, right?
Yeah, March 1st, yeah.
And the anticipation of the battery is 27 as well.
So it would be, I think we're assuming it's going to be completed either late 2027 or early 28, but we would be making a payment in March 2027 as part of the community benefit agreement. It's like a construction payment, and it also ties it to the same term as the Oregon Trail Solar pilot agreement. So so that matches as well. Yeah.
There's so many different types of agreements. Some we qualify, some we don't, the SIP agreements, the pilot. One pilot I saw, I think it might have been Morrow County, it laid out, okay, here's your solar.
Yes.
Here's your optional battery storage. But if the battery happens, this is what our deal is on that. And that we need to do in the future.
Yes.
So we don't have to go back after the fact. But this is all just learning.
Yeah.
These are all new. This is a specific statutory, incentive program. That's unique to solar.
Definitely, yeah. And that's I think part of it too is this being our first battery. When we did the agreement in 2023, we knew we wanted to potentially do one, but we hadn't done it before. So it's a good learning to be like very explicit in the beginning about this is what happens, and so this is kind of in honor of us making another big investment on the battery. That's kind of the origin of the community benefit agreement here. But yeah, definitely Morrow County says, there's a certain rate if it's just solar and a certain rate if it's solar plus battery. And we were not explicit in this one, but yeah, so
that's it's just we learn from our neighbors. We're learning our way through all of this.
Yeah, definitely.
So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And any questions?
I think this really addresses, the operational costs is what there are not grant funds for. They're capital funds for childcares, but the operational funds, now how do we provide some funding. We have public-private partnerships like this, that if it weren't for us already talking, for example, the other SIP agreement we worked on and the lay down yard and having a relationship, we can talk about, okay, now what can you do for us? What can we do here? And so that, I think that if we foster relationships with the type of businesses that have, that want to invest in the community, that's what helps. And this is a great thing, I think. Do you have anything else?
I'm good. You good?
Okay.
Yeah, fine.
All right, 7.8. Let's start with,
Motion one.
yeah, where are we at here? Okay, yes. It's on one briefing, right? Yeah, thank you.
But we need two, there's two.
Yeah, two motions. Motion one.
I move to approve the First Amendment to the payment in lieu of tax agreement with Oregon Trail Solar Shuttler Best Edition as presented. Or no, yeah.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Okay, that motion passes. Motion two.
Right.
Or do you want to? Well, you did the long one last meeting.
Yeah,
you can see
all the short.
I move to approve the community benefit agreement for early learning child care with Oregon Trail Solar Shuttler Best Edition as presented.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Okay, good. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and thank you. And just as a point, on the community benefit agreement, the Condon Early Learning Center and Arlington Child Care Center are also signatories on that?
Yes.
Did they have their own process for
We've
approving
been
or?
working on that
Yeah.
on our end to get those signed.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
Great.
One other thing I want to clarify that we didn't talk about, that if something happens with either childcare center, Gilliam County is a party to the community benefit agreement. So the funding will come to us. So if there were a problem with one of those cease to exist, the funding would come to Gilliam County and we could reallocate in the name of childcare in another way. Okay.
Yeah, that is called out as a specific clause in the CBA that if those organizations cease to exist, then Gilliam County becomes the beneficiary of that specific payment. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Thank
thank
you.
you so much. Yeah.
Okay. 7.5, consider approval of revised county administration position descriptions. Okay. This process came from the administration as a team, the administrative staff. Now that we've been working together for a couple of years, we took all of our job descriptions and realigned them. We can't have one person that has their job description so heavy that we needed to balance and equalize what we're actually doing so that everything is in balance. And one of the things that has come clear with our assistance from Marina and Company, that we need our financial processes refined and improved, and further split as far as segregation of duties for auditing standards. So one of the issues is our administrative assistant, who is currently part-time. The proposal would be to increase her to full-time. One of the visions with this position was that you have somebody who can assist the entire courthouse. So we have continuity of services. When I walked into the courthouse on June 11th, 2024, Brooklyn Griffith had been there for less than 2 weeks, I think, and there was nobody else there. And we can't have that for our county operations. So having somebody who's cross-trained, available to help all departments if needed, and can assist with the segregation of duties for auditing and financial purposes, and can assist with all of the projects we have. You'll see the job description in the packet, and you will see, I believe, the need for that position to go to full-time. The other two amendments are the executive assistant to the county court, which is Anya currently. And it is just correcting and refining her duties. And then some of the things in the finance director's job description, correct me if I'm wrong, Brooklyn, you were dealing with both sides of a transaction maybe, and we can't have that in a job description. So
That's accurate. I just took
that's
like accounts receivable language.
yeah, so that's what I'm right. We need to have one person who does accounts receivable, another person maybe doing another act there, and then the other person doing the accounts payable. So that's the reason for this. And what's before you? Do you have any thoughts or questions? When you think about it, one other thing is simply look at the agenda. Okay, all of this is work. All of this is work. As the legislature makes decisions and there's no definitive department or agency called out in the maybe legislation or statute, that falls on the county administration to figure it out. Two examples, Wolf Compensation Committee and House Bill 2089, the tax foreclosure property process. Those were two basically unfunded mandates that it's work. They were very necessary processes we went through, but it's a lot's going on here for Gilliam County, and a lot more is coming. So
the accounts receivables always been in the treasurer's office, hasn't it?
Well, yes, it has. But we had some recommendations by Marina and Company for how we can better handle that. Yeah. But yes, it has been. I think it was just put into the job. We're just fixing some things that needed to be corrected in the job descriptions as well. Do we have, is there any further discussion on these? If it would be a motion to approve the job descriptions or individual job descriptions if you want to, or make amendments.
Approve revised position descriptions.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any, are you good?
Yeah, I don't have any.
Also move that we approve the revised position descriptions for county court administrative staff as presented.
Would you please include who they are? And it's on the second page of the briefing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Position description for administrative assistant. Position description for executive assistant to the county court. And position description for finance director.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Right. Next on the agenda.
Mary is on.
Okay.
Zoom.
7.6, consider approval of proposed library assistant position description. Did you have anything to add, Commissioner Watkins, since that's your department? And then we'll allow Mary to speak.
I think Mary came to me, and I think she worked through this with the board. And the reason she couldn't be here today is one of her staff is missing, so. But Mary?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, Mary. And this is Library Director Mary Reeser.
Yes. I think we have everything in the agenda briefing. And if you guys have any questions, we're just wanting to expand our services to our community more than we are able to now, without having to rely on our high school students as much.
One of my thoughts, okay, this would be the union eligible position. If we need to open that up, if we were to do this, that's a thought. Did you have any thoughts, Commissioner?
Yeah, I was trying to, so Mary, the projected increase for this is fairly substantial, right? Over
Yes.
25,000. I just don't know where, I mean, where are we in? I don't have my budget.
Well, the library is heavily SIP funded currently. And the SIP funds from our large project, Shepherd Flat, is going away after this next payment.
Grant, if you're talking about the next year's budget, remember that the approval for fiscal year 27 went before the committee with this proposal built into it.
Okay, I didn't recall that. Thank you.
What committee?
He was just asking about within the budget, and I was just, I think, reminding that it did come before the budget for fiscal year 27, but I think that is a process we should consider reviewing in the future for if other departments are going to come forward.
It's a little bit cumbersome because this is what happens. Okay, if somebody puts a position in the budget committee as a whole isn't making that position decision. It's just the county court. So it's almost backwards. I think what needs to happen going forward is if there's a request for a position, it needs to come in December or January as a conditional approval or a denial. And then they build their budget. And then we proceed on with the position if that's what happens. It just brought light to that because it was in the budget, but so was the deputy treasurer position last year, which was never filled. The other thing is, with the addition of Autumn Ackerman as full-time now, one of the visions with her is if her schedule allows, she could be available to fill in, even at the library. So that's a thought. And with the heavy reliance on SIP funds, library is important, so important. It's a huge community need. It matters to the community, and we'll want to keep, and Mary, you've done a wonderful job with the library. But with the SIP funds running out on this large project and then the transition to property tax, we have no way of knowing what's going to happen with those programs that have been heavily reliant on SIP funds. We're trying to figure out how to keep the funding stable at its current level without exacerbating the problem. So those are my thoughts.
Well, and I think when Mary came and talked to me, some of it had to do with the reliability of the interns.
Yes.
To be there to work and that library, I can attest, it's a busy place in the summertime.
Did you utilize the summer work program this year?
Yes.
Okay. And so those are free grant funded positions. And okay, good.
Right now we have 2 interns and they are both seniors this year. So we will probably be losing them next.
Okay. All right. Do you have any thoughts?
Oh, I'm back and forth. I mean, I'm concerned about the funds, but it's important.
I'm reluctant to create another position at this time. That's my position. I think we need to continue with the staffing level we have and see how it goes over the next year.
You said that Autumn could be used also.
As her schedule allows, yeah.
So would she be able to fill in for a whole week?
That you would have to schedule. we have to, periods of time that you need assistance, we could schedule that.
Well, it would depend, sorry, I don't know, Brooklyn's on here and she can correct me, but if it's like payroll week or.
Right.
Accounts payable week.
Exactly.
That's gonna be difficult, but that would have to be worked out with. Brooklyn.
Right.
Exactly.
And that's scheduling. And the other thing, Mary, that, currently staff transports the books to Arlington twice a week. Is that correct?
Yes.
Or, okay, so there's, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, there's 4 hours. Our planner is going back and forth now because she's going to be working here. That frees up 4 more hours. Potentially, it's not going to work every time, but that would free some time up as well.
Yeah, I go down on Mondays, and Daryl has actually been taking them down on Thursdays.
Oh, good. Okay. All right. You guys think?
My husband said, quits calling me. Sorry.
So Mary, are you looking to be short? You said you have 2 seniors,
Yes.
right? For this summer?
Yes. And then next school year, one of them is homeschooled, so I'm able to use her a little bit more during the day, and the other one plays sports. So she only can come in after school and on some like Christmas vacation and stuff.
I think we need to try to just do what we can do and see what, maybe, I mean, I don't, with Autumn, I don't see her being able to just be scheduled for a week or something like that either, but,
No,
I still think we have to
we
be
could
careful going forward.
make her, she doesn't know for sure she can't get an intern. Make that attempt first. And then see how it goes with, if Autumn's able to help here and there, and then just go from there.
I don't know, I guess my thoughts are just to table it for right now. And see what we can do.
All right. Do you have any thoughts, Commissioner Watkins?
Well, I think we need it, but I'm only one person, so.
Yeah. Okay, do you want to revisit it, or do you want to? She's gonna make a request for something like this in December, like we discussed. Maybe that's the proper time. And see how it goes till then. Is there any, the library's loved, the community loves the library. Is there, do you have a volunteer program at all to sit with the library?
There is so much training that goes in to anybody who works here that we can't just have anybody without training. So.
Okay. So you're comfortable with tabling it for now, or do you?
I am. I mean, I know it's a good thing, but I'm just concerned about the cost and what's coming. And
yeah,
but I think that I don't know. I think I'm not comfortable going forward with this.
I think it's clear that there has to be a way to fund the library, and that it's like the state budget. There's money in certain places, but not in others. So the general fund, there's some libraries that are funded by the general fund. I did a little research. Some have an endowment that was left, some money, and that they live off the interest. Many are city libraries and many are library districts. That's the bulk of our state's library system, but, it's just gonna change now because of, our large project. As right now, things will evolve and change later on, but until we know what these dollars are going to be, how is that going to impact the general fund? So it's just this point in time we're in. So I agree that we table.
Well, I will respectfully disagree, because we just approved a full-time job for an assistant in the courthouse, but we didn't talk about regard to how do we fund that down the road, so.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, but like I say, I'm not saying this isn't important either, but I think the other one is more important.
Right.
It's
Okay.
do what we can do.
All right, so we will table this, and that concludes that agenda item.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, 7.7, consider approval of agreement, ELSI Legal LLC for patrol legal update subscription. 7.7.
Gary's not on, so hopefully it's
Okay. Okay, Gary's not on. He has a letter in the front, which he explains what he's requesting. This is an ongoing agreement. Because I did ask him that question. This isn't a new agreement, in other words.
And they've had this before with the same outfit.
So Elmer is an attorney, or he's been an attorney forever, and he's been as a leader on the new requirements for police officers. You know, search and seizure.
And that will be good with our new change in regime. Yes. Okay.
Does he just take care of this on it? I mean, it's coming out of his budget. I guess, why does he do that?
It's because it's an agreement.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, yes, like it has to be signed.
So do we have any further discussion?
No. I'll move to approve the patrol legal update subscription agreement.
I'll second the motion.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Okay, 7.8, consider approval of Chris Fitzsimmons' request to carry over vacation pay. Okay, Chris is not able to be on, I don't believe. She's at a training, but she is going to be, well, her letter explains she's going to be retiring for PERS purposes as of June 30th, and then she will officially retire from Gilliam County December 31st, 2026. The handbook, the employee handbook spells out that 200 hours of vacation is paid out upon separation. And then, so she lists out what she'll be paid out per the handbook, and she's correct. But she has 40 additional hours in vacation above the 200 hours. So she has 240 hours on the books. She'll be paid out 200. She's just requesting if that 40 hours can be carried over for that 6-month period of time between July 1st and December 31st, so that she has some available leave for things like the fair, since she's on the fair board and things like that. I concur. I don't.
Good.
Concern. Yeah. Okay. Is that a motion to approve carrying over the 40 hours for Chris Fitzsimmons?
I'll move to approve the 40 hours vacation carryover for Chris Fitzsimmons. Let's present.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. All right. I had another thought regarding that. I lost it. Oh, what we're trying to do, and this is refining processes, is when our handbook says something and then we're doing something different, or there's certain things that come up that are just unusual circumstances, we're trying to bring that before you so that we have documentation of what happened. We often go back and look at the minutes and don't know what happened because they're not clear. So this clearly outlines what the request is, what our approval is, and what we're doing. So that's, and trying to get the handbook, so it says everything, we don't have to do this type of thing. Okay, is there anything else on the agenda? No. 8.0 announcements. Our next meeting is July 1st, 10 a.m. in the Gilliam County Courthouse. Commissioner comments.
I don't have anything.
I just want to update the court, still working on getting some camera costs estimates to bring to the court from the sheriff's office and ODOT, hopefully some signage. Korean meeting last Friday, City of Bend's doing a Newberry geothermal deep well. They're drilling really deep and for hot rocks. Anyway, it's supposed to be, they're hoping to do some testing here within year and a half. They've already drilled the well, but they're looking for renewable, of course, but it's very high cost. I don't know. I don't see that in our county, but it was pretty interesting, the presentation. Norfolk meeting tomorrow, adopt the budget. June 23rd. Of course, he said Andy is going to meet here with me and Dewey, and I'm going to try to, probably won't be till next month early, but I want to catch up with the road department and the weed department. That's all I got.
Yeah. Commissioner Watkins?
No,
You don't have anything? Okay, let's see, last time, their staff barbecue. I've been meeting with, Marta Michaelo and our maintenance department because we're gonna make a change. The Fair Board is going to be managing Burns Park. So we worked out what we're gonna do there with some trade of duties. We have the event center now. We have the new office. I think we've come to an agreement that we'll mow outside the event center in exchange for the Fair Board managing Burns Park. And I think we have an opportunity to do a good job, a better job maybe, if the Fair Board secretary is able to reconcile the reconciliations to the cash that comes in and then provide that to our treasurer. I think maybe that's more than we've ever been done. I think it's been pretty much an honor system, but that way we can do a better job with that. So we're talking about, what duties we're going to be trading.
I'm just laughing because we told Sammy we'd get her a ranger hat, so when she got the first park.
Park ranger.
Yeah,
Mhm.
but she'll have, being right there, you notice trailers as they go in.
Right.
Too, so.
Yeah, it'll be good. And our new treasurer has, some experience with how that worked before, so that's good. The other thing is that FFA had their banquet last Thursday and it was in the event center. It was really a great venue. It's all up and running. There's some things in the kitchen yet to be done, but it's
the stoves needed burned out. Before.
Right, but
we
it
did
was
that
very good. And then I went to another event there that was, it's a great building. So I think it'll be a great complement with the RV park, and maybe people will rent the entire thing for events and weddings and things like that. So good. Let's see, working on the EV charging. Jeff Schott's been helping us with that. I think we're not going to be doing this anymore, but I meet with Carrie Wade every month to talk about childcare. Our last meeting, she said, I think they're 200,000 away and have some grant applications out for their expansion. So they're very, very close and hopefully they'll get that money. And she said people had reached out about, whether or not their after-school program will be up for fall. And that's still up in the air, contingent upon this last bit of funding they're looking for.
I heard this morning that they were 100,000 now.
Oh, good. So good. Great. Good. I met with the city of Condon, talked about housing, mostly housing, and that was a good conversation. The new bus barn had their grand opening, and that was well attended, and proud of that building. Good job.
It's nice.
Yeah. Let's see, had a lipstick meeting yesterday, and that is all of it. We're gonna do headshots coming up, so anybody who wants, we really do want to have updated photos for our website that are consistent. So they're gonna be all in one location. You should have gotten an email about 3 possible date choices, so. Yeah. Okay, is there anything else? No other matters?
One question.
Yeah.
You said that you were going to do a workshop on the economic enhancement distribution.
Yeah.
Before the.
Let's do it at 9. Does that work for you?
Is that in
The
the
July
July
1st?
1st? At 9 is the public invited?
Mhm.
Or is it?
Yes.
Very good.
Well, that would be the first public hearing. This would just be a work session to go through the
Yeah.
percentages.
Are we gonna do that July 1st?
Mhm.
Oh, very good.
Does that work? If we don't want to do it July 1st, we can push it off, but if we don't keep talking about it and get it done, there'll be other work that'll get in the way.
Yeah.
Okay. So the next meeting will start with a work session at 9:00 a.m., July 1st. And that will be on the economic enhancement meetings. Okay, is there anything else? All right, meeting's adjourned. Thank you.